Hello everyone, this will be Chapter 5 of Danny and the Phantom, written and read by Insect Overlord. This chapter is titled My Savior, My Oppressor, and has content warnings for mentions of death, memorial, and mentions of seizures and epilepsy. Jack found his son passed out in an empty classroom. His heart was slower than it should have been. When Jack had shaken him awake, he was confused and tired, both signs they had narrowly missed a seizure. They hadn't found him in the cafeteria with his friends, and they hadn't had time to search for one child while they were busy protecting the whole school of them. After the Phantom disappeared, they were left to assess the damage it and the other ghost had caused. They had righted tables and pulled shaking kids out from behind stacks of chairs, all while sirens blared in the distance. A few of the kids hadn't been shaking. They hadn't been moving at all. While searching the room with other teachers and paramedics, time dragged on and the number of students still missing dwindled. Danny's friends stumbled out from behind a table by the door. Jazz rushed in, pushing back the teachers and shoving away paramedics in a mad dash to check on her brother. But he wasn't in the lunchroom, and there was a split second where Jack thought they might not find Danny at all. Or, if they did find him, it would already be too late. But they had, and he was all right, or at least he would be. Jack would make sure of that. He pushed at the gas a little harder, sparing a glance in the rear-view mirror to see a disoriented Danny between his wife and daughter. Jazz was filling the air with inane nonsense to help him tune back into the world, but he didn't look like he could hear her. He kept nodding off, and Maddie kept shaking him back awake. At the emergency room, the nurses reassured them that his son would be okay, as they covered Danny's head in little patches with wires. Jack knew their words were empty. They were the same thing they told every frantic parent who walked through the doors. He felt childish at how much they helped. Someone contacted Danny's primary doctor, the same one who had treated him after his accident, Dr. Kinsley. She read over the nurse's notes and checked Danny's vitals before approaching Jack and Maddie. "Hello again, Dr. Fenton. I wish I could say it was good to see you again, but, well," she started, gesturing to Danny where he lay in the hospital bed. He was still hardly conscious, though he seemed more aware of Jazz as she gently rubbed her thumb across the back of his hand and continued to talk quietly with him. Maddie smiled, but the expression held no warmth. "We appreciate all you've done for Danny. It's just that the only reason they would see her again so soon was if Danny got worse." Dr. Kinsley smiled back, kind and understanding. "Good news first. Danny is showing signs of a recent tonic-clonic seizure, but it doesn't look like it was anywhere near as bad as the last one. His vitals look all right, though his heart is more irregular than I would like. It's still beating, though, and he's pushing through. He's a stubborn boy." Maddie let out a sigh of relief, but Jack didn't allow himself to relax yet. Dr. Kinsley flipped a page on her clipboard. "I've got him hooked up to his EEG now. I figured it would be best to measure his brainwaves now rather than on Wednesday like we scheduled. Because he had another seizure so soon after his last one, epilepsy is a lot more likely. I want to rule it out as soon as possible in case it's not, so we can figure out what is wrong and work from there." Jack sucked in a breath. Epilepsy? Danny might have epilepsy. Dr. Kinsley must have seen the look on his face, because she hurried to reassure them. "I know this all sounds bad, but most of the time epilepsy is treatable. With medication, Danny will be able to live a normal life." Okay. Thank you, Dr. Kinsley, really." Maddie spoke up where Jack couldn't. He was still stuck on that one word, epilepsy. It kept swirling around his head, repeating itself over and over again. He knew she said medication would help, but what if it didn't? What if this was something that followed Danny for the rest of his life? Nothing's for certain yet, anyways. This could be a 2-off thing. It's possible Danny's EEG comes back completely normal. We don't know yet. I just wanted to prepare you," she reassured them again. Jack appreciated her words. He really did, but he knew they were just that. Words. He may have his PhD in ectobiology, but he knew enough about human brains to know that 2 seizures only a few days apart weren't a coincidence. Danny pulled the collar of his shirt to loosen it. He wasn't a fan of formal attire. "Hold still, I'm almost done," Jazz grumbled, combing the last of his unruly hair back. Jazz had been fussing with him ever since they got back from the hospital. The whole trip was a blur of white and pale blue, but he remembered her voice through it all. She had talked with him, even when he couldn't listen, held his hand. It reminded him of when they were younger, of how she would drag him with her when she went to the park, never letting him hole himself up in his room alone for too long. He knew she was worried, and for that reason, and that reason alone, he let her fuss with his appearance. It's not like anyone will care. They'd all be too busy crying to comment on if my hair's a bit messy, he grumbled. Jazz took a step back. "Daniel!" Danny cringed. "Sorry." He apologized automatically. That was inconsiderate. Why had he even said that? He wasn't usually one to be so tactless. Jazz sighed, but put down the comb. "Come on, I'll drive us." "Really? You'll let me ride your motorcycle?" he exclaimed. It had been forever since she'd given him a ride, at least since before his accident. She said it would drive up his heart rate too much, or something equally stupid. "It's not a motorcycle, it's a Vespa, and the memorial service is only a few blocks away. And I'll drive slow," she said, listing her points like she was convincing herself. Danny rolled his eyes. As they made their way down the stairs, he asked, "Why aren't Mom and Dad driving us? Not that I want them to, but, aren't they coming?" Jazz cringed as she grabbed her helmet and keys off the hook by the door. They're in the lab. Said they need to prepare for the next attack or something." "Oh." They had been in the lab yesterday, too. But he hadn't thought they were doing their usual work. He hadn't thought they would get swept up in it again. They said they were going to do better, that they'd be there for Danny. He shouldn't have got his hopes up. "Hunting ghosts will always be the most important thing to them," Phantom whispered in Danny's ear. Danny couldn't help but agree. "Okay," was all he said as he picked his own helmet up and followed Jazz to her definitely not motorcycle. The sigil was held outside the school. From his spot in the back of the crowd, he could just make out the taped-off area by the cafeteria's busted wall. Most of the students were present, along with their families. Danny hadn't known any of the 4 kids who died, but he knew one was in Jazz's class, and Tucker knew the younger brother of another. "Danny, glad you could make it," came Sam's voice from behind him. He turned around to greet her. "Hey, Sam. Hey, Tucker." Sam leaned in for a hug, and despite the fact that they'd greeted each other the same way for years, Danny felt a foreign rush of disgust at the contact, before he shoved it down and hugged her back. Since when did he not like hugs? Jazz waved him off to go to her own friends, and the 3 made their way through the crowd to the memorial display. It was a spot under one of the trees by the front entrance. Apparently, it held some significance to each of the students who passed. There were various people offering prayers or placing items and flowers by the tree. Most were crying. Sam and Tucker approached the tree and laid their flowers down, but Danny hadn't brought anything. He hadn't known the students at all. He settled for praying. "God, if you're out there, please let them rest peacefully." "Nah," responded the voice of Phantom. Danny stepped back. "What? Why not?" "They died to a ghost. Their souls will never rest. They'll probably turn into ghosts themselves eventually." But that wasn't right. Ghosts weren't actual dead people. They were creatures who came from the portal. He got a feeling Phantom was shrugging. "We aren't people. We just come from the feelings of people who have died. Where did you think I came from?" "No, that wasn't right. Danny wasn't dead. He could still feel the wind billowing across his skin and smell the dozens of flowers lying across the grass. "I'm alive," he argued. Phantom didn't respond. "Danny, you feeling all right?" Tucker asked, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You've been staring at that photo for a while. Did you know her?" The photo sat atop a small square table someone brought out. It depicted a girl with auburn hair and tan skin, smiling brightly at the camera, showing off her colorful braces. A stuffed rabbit sat beside it. "No," he responded. He hadn't known any of them. Tucker nodded softly. "Me and Sam are going to sit over there if you want to come with." He nodded his head toward the side of the building closest to the tree. Danny gave the memorial one last look before turning to follow his friend. "Yeah, okay." Sam was already leaning up against the brick wall, messing with something on her phone. She looked up when they sat beside her. "It's just weird, you know," she started. "I didn't want to believe anyone actually died, but here we are, at their memorial." "Yeah," Tucker sighed. I don't understand. I saw the ghosts from where we were hiding. They were terrifying." He shuddered. "But they looked so unreal, like even I'm having trouble believing it actually happened, and I was there. How could something like a ghost go and kill a bunch of kids?" Danny stiffened. "It was kind of their fault. They didn't run away fast enough. If they were stronger, they would still be alive." He didn't know where the words came from. They just poured out of his mouth. Sam looked at him, horrified. "Danny, you can't just say something like that." "Yeah, man, that's not right." Danny buried his face in his hands. Why had he said that? "I'm sorry, guys. I didn't mean that." Tucker sighed, then patted his shoulder. "It's fine. We know you've been having a tough time lately. Jazz told us you were in the hospital after everything." Sam scoffed and crossed her arms. "You've been in the hospital too many times. You gotta cut back on that." Danny laughed. "I'll do my best." The three of them sat in silence for a while. "I hope no more ghosts show up. Your parents are ghost hunters, right? You think they'll catch the one that got away?" Sam looked up at him. Danny's stomach sank. It was so violent, even to a member of its own species. If it's capable of that, then what will it do to us, you know? They were afraid of him. They were afraid of Phantom. He had to fix this somehow. Phantom wasn't scary. They saved everyone. Saved Danny. "I need to tell you something," he said a little too loudly, cringing at how he unintentionally cut her off. "What's up?" Tucker asked. Danny looked around at the crowd of people meandering about. Not here. Let's go somewhere else. You want to come to my place? It's the closest." Tucker shrugged. "Sure, I guess. My parents aren't expecting me home for a couple hours." "I'll come, but are you sure you can walk that far? Hasn't your heart been weird?" Sam asked, biting a nail. "I'll be fine," he assured them. Outside of his seizures, he had been feeling fine since he let Phantom take control for that fight. Better than fine, even. He felt energized, even if a doctor seemed to disagree with him. Sam didn't look convinced. "Well, I'm going to ask Jazz, just in case. No offense, Danny, but you aren't exactly the best person to consult when it comes to your health." Danny groaned. He resented that accusation. This concludes Chapter 5 of Danny and the Phantom. I hope you've all enjoyed. There is an estimated 12 chapters for this story. I don't remember if I said that before, but I do have them all planned out. I don't know when I will continue writing it. I have one more chapter left that I've written and posted, but I have it all planned out, so hopefully it will be soon. I would like to have at least one multi-chapter fic that I have fully completed. Right now I have 3 ongoing, maybe 4. I think it's, no, 4, yeah. 4 ongoing that I have not finished, which I want to have at least one finished. So this one will be the easiest to finish. So hopefully that will be done soon. The next chapter will be up soon. Thank you so much for listening.